Well, hello everyone. We're ready for our first big encounter here in the Red Box set. This is Encounter 1, or Encounter Level 1, and the entire encounter is worth 450 experience points. And according to the Red Box guide, it says that the information above will tell you how hard the encounter is, how many experience points the party earns if the characters successfully complete the encounter. And in this case, it's of normal difficulty for a party of first level adventurers, and the group will earn 450 experience points if they succeed. So for our group of level 2 adventurers, this will be, or should be, a little on the easy side. The setup: 2 goblin cutthroats and 2 gray wolves. This information tells you what monsters appear in the encounter, and the letters in parentheses are the symbols used on the map to show the starting positions of the monsters. So we have them down there on the map, and it says that this encounter picks up right where the solo adventure in the player's book leaves off. It assumes that at least one of the player characters has played through the solo adventure, and that was our dwarf, our fighter, fighting off the first goblin attack and tracking the goblins to their lair, and venturing far enough into the lair to decide that it's best to return with friends. This encounter takes place as the newly formed party travels back toward the goblin lair. You start by putting the Crossroads battle map down, and now read this. Here we go. We have the scene set up. The goblin lair was too much for just one of you to handle, but there's strength in numbers. Now your group is ready to handle the goblin menace and retrieve the merchant's stolen box. In the town of Fallcrest, you met up with other adventurers, each of you brave and talented enough to take on the swarm of goblins. You're on a lonely road, approaching the site of the goblin lair. The distant howl of wolves has followed you since you set out from Fallcrest, and now you see 2 of the beasts emerge from behind some rocks along the side of the road. The wolves growl menacingly. With a shrill cry, 2 goblins appear from behind a ruined tower and rush to attack. Alright, this is talking about setting up the board, and it says then, after everything is set up, I guess we have to pick a position for the players to begin. So what we need to do is put our players in this area, right around the sign there on the road. So let's put our players there. Here's the area right around the road sign. Let's put our players out. I would imagine that our dwarf is in the front, sort of showing the way to the others, and probably with the rogue and the wizard behind, and the cleric bringing up the rear there. So we'll start that way with our characters on the road. Then it says that we need to roll initiative. We have each player roll initiative for his or her character. You roll 2 initiative checks, one for the goblins and one for the wolves. Write down each character's and monster's initiative checks in order. Then the combat can begin, starting with the highest initiative result. Okay. Well, let me show you what I've got on my phone. I have a program on my phone, and it's called Combat Assistant. And this program is useful for 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I've entered the information here. We have our goblin cutthroats and our gray wolves. And then we have our player characters. And over here on the side in parentheses is the the approximate initiative bonus that they will get when you roll a d20. So for example, for one of the gray wolves, if I roll a d20, I'm going to add 6 to that to help determine the initiative. So what I need to do here is here it is. It's just assign initiative. I think this will roll it for me. Okay, there we go. It did a roll and gave everybody's value. So Ander is first in the order, followed by Lucan, the wizard, and then we have Grey Wolf 1 and 2. Then we're going to have the cleric, the goblins, and then I think bringing up the rear will be the fighter. He's not the fastest, but I believe he's the toughest out of the group. So Ander is up. He gets to go first. He sees the enemies approaching and gets to take his actions. Ander is right there. And now let's take a look at Ander's character sheet. Pulling his character sheet up here. Ander the rogue. I think we're going to go landscape. Let's see. We've got his basic statistics here. What we need to do is look down at his powers and see what kind of attacks he may want to use. It looks like he's equipped with daggers, and leather armor, some thieves' tools, and an adventurer's kit. But let's take a look and see what would be best for this situation. Other abilities. He gets a bonus against fear, +2 bonus against opportunity attacks. Sneak attack. It says when he uses his dagger to hit an enemy, granting combat advantage against you, your attack deals extra damage. First strike. At the start of an encounter, you have combat advantage against any creatures that have not yet acted in the encounter. So this is good. With that first strike ability, Ander can do extra damage to anyone he hits, an extra 2d6 + 1. So let's see. Let's choose the attack. He's got a ranged attack. He can throw a dagger. Let's take a look at some of his encounter. Tumble and backstab. Let's take a look at backstab. Choose a weapon against an enemy granting combat advantage. You gain a +3 power bonus to the attack roll of the triggering power. If the triggering power hits the enemy, it deals an extra 1d6 damage to that enemy. Alright, when you have some questions, it's good to go to the book. And then, of course, as you get familiar with your character's powers, it goes rather quickly. But I'm going to be taking my time here and learning some of these powers and how they function. This is the Essentials book, Heroes of the Fallen Lands. It is naturally the next step in character creation from the red box. The red box introduces you to the concepts and the basic mechanics of 4th edition, and then you graduate to this book to further refine your characters and improve your characters and sort of recreate them following these rules. The backstab ability, if you see here, is a utility power, and it clearly tells you how it's used here. You need to be using a basic attack. So you're going to be making an attack roll against an enemy within 5 squares of you using a basic attack with a weapon. The enemy must be granting combat advantage to you. And you get +3 and the enemy takes an additional 1d6 extra damage if the attack hits. So, if you look at the flavor text, it says you take a split second to locate the most vulnerable point in an enemy's defenses. So, we may have Ender try to do that against the wolf. Let's try to bring Ender back up here. A ranged basic attack. Why don't we do that? Let's let him hurl a dagger. He is within 3, but I think what I want to do is you also do need to take into account some line of sight issues. So let's zoom in here up on Ender and the wolf. He needs to get into a better position to take this shot, because I think right now that wolf would have cover. The concept of cover is described in this book, and you can see that in this diagram here. We have the attacker over here, and there's not, you have to pick one corner of a square and draw lines, and you have to draw it to the corners of their square, and if any square is blocked, they have some cover against the attack. So if we were to draw some lines from Ender's square, where he is right now, to the wolf, it would almost even be a blocked shot because of the boulders there, but definitely the wolf would at least have cover. So let's move Ender around a little bit, maybe getting him into a more a better position. So much like the Dungeons and Dragons board games we were playing, let's see what his speed is. His speed is 6. So let's move him. He can move through squares with friends, so we'll move him here 2 spaces. And let's have him attack right there. He's got a clear shot to attack. So we're going to use our encounter power, which is the backstab, and we're going to make our basic ranged attack to use that. So our basic ranged attack is plus 10 versus armor class. This backstab ability will pump that up to plus 13 versus armor class. The wolf's armor class is 16, so we got a really good chance to hit. So let's do that. Let's bring out the dice, or the die here. Plus 13. Oh boy. I rolled a 2.